How can a robot move around an environment without knowing what it looks like beforehand? It's a bit of a chicken and egg problem. In order to move around, the robot needs a map. But in order to build a map, the robot needs to know where it is. The answer to this is to use a method called SLAM, which stands for Simultaneous Localization and Mapping. All SLAM really is just a fancy way of doing both mapping and localization at the same time. But what are mapping and localization exactly? Mapping is taking in your surroundings and recording them for reference later into a model of the world. Localization is then taking what you can see and trying to place yourself in the map given what you can see around you. These are essentially the main steps of SLAM, but how do we turn this process into something that can be used on a robot? In order for a robot to perform SLAM, it needs some sort of sensor to see its environment. Oftentimes this can be done with a camera, but the robot I'm using has a LiDAR sensor attached on top. The LiDAR works by shooting out a beam of light and timing how long it takes for it to bounce back in order to measure how far away an object is. With these sensor readings, we now want to use them to create a map. One way of doing this is to simplify the world into a bunch of grid cells. Using this system, we can use the LiDAR scans to fill out areas of the map where the robot can see. As the robot moves somewhere new, we want to keep track of its position. We can make a prediction of where the robot is based on measurements of the wheels. This is called odometry. Using another LiDAR scan of the robot's new position, along with prior knowledge of the map, we can get an observation of where the robot is. Then, we can use the prediction of the odometry and correct it with the observation of the environment to get a very good idea of the robot's actual location. Now that we can keep track of the robot's position, let's look at how we can decide where we want the robot to explore. So let's say this is the map that the robot currently has. There's a number of spots that the robot could explore next. We call these frontiers. They're places where the open areas that the robot can drive to touch the unexplored areas of the map. There isn't one right way of picking which frontier to explore, but a good strategy is to use some combination of distance and size. You'll want to explore frontiers that are bigger because they'll reveal more unexplored areas, but you'll also want to explore frontiers that are close because they're easier to get to. No matter what though, if the robot keeps picking new frontiers to go explore, eventually there will be no frontiers left and the whole map will be explored. So let's say we want to go to this frontier. How do we get there? We need to create a path from where the robot is to where it wants to be. If we just find the path with the absolute shortest distance, it's going to bring the robot really close to the walls, which can cause it to crash. What we really need is a way to find the shortest path while still prioritizing staying away from the walls. This is where the cost map comes in. If we assign each cell a cost for how close it is to the wall, we can then prioritize using cells with a lower cost to build our path. With the cost map, our paths now keep the robot away from the walls. Now you might be wondering how the robot is actually following the paths in some of these clips. For this, I decided to use my old friend, the peer pursuit algorithm. I used to use this algorithm a ton back when I did high school robotics in FRC. It's a pretty simple algorithm to understand. All you have to do is pick a point on the path some distance ahead of the robot and then make the robot drive toward it. And that's just about it, because as the robot moves forward, the look-ahead point moves down the path. There's just some tuning needed to figure out a good look-ahead distance. If the look-ahead distance is too far ahead, then the robot will cut around sharp corners. But if the look-ahead distance is too close, the robot will overcorrect for small errors and oscillate back and forth. A look-ahead distance somewhere in the middle will let the robot follow paths closely without making overcorrections. But now we've got all the steps we need for the robot to explore the map all by itself. Using SLAM, we can simultaneously map the environment while also keeping the robot localized. We can then pick out frontiers to explore and pathfind to them while also staying away from the walls. And finally, we can follow paths with peer pursuit and repeat the process all over again until the entire map is explored. As an added bonus, I also added some obstacle avoidance to keep the robot away from the walls if it ever gets too close. The robot looks at grid cells in a nearby field of view, highlighted in blue. Grid cells that contain obstacles, highlighted in red, will influence the robot to steer away from those areas. With a fully explored map, there's even some extra things you can do, like relocalizing the robot after it's been picked up and moved to a new location. It does this by using an algorithm called Monte Carlo Localization. Initially, the robot has no idea where it is, so it creates a bunch of particles all over the map of places it could be. Then as the robot scans its environment, it calculates the probability that the robot is at each of the particles, given what it can see and what it knows about the map. Then on the next iteration, the old particles are cleared out, but new particles are spawned near those that had higher probabilities. This process repeats over and over again until the particles converge to the robot's actual location. But once the robot's been found, the particles can track the robot even as it moves around the map. And with that, that's just about it for this video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to click the like button to let me know. It really helps me out a ton. And feel free to subscribe so you can stay up to date with any new videos. Thank you so much for watching.